What's going on? It's your man Diamond K in here at the Diamond K Show, thediamondkshow.com, on fire-tv.com. A lot of things to talk about today. We're going to talk about rappers. So many rappers getting locked up. What is going on? Shout out Left Hook 360. So many rappers getting locked up, and why? For what reason are these rappers getting locked up? What is pushing them to do the things that they are doing to get locked up? We're going to talk about that today, as well as a bunch of things. Food prices are soaring, in case you didn't notice that. Lawmakers are worried. The global hunger rate is rising. And if you have been in a supermarket or anything close to that, even if you go into a sub shop, Jamaican spot, Asian spot, whatever, Mexican, prices are higher than they have been. So we're gonna talk about that and a lot more. Of course, you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok at the Diamond K Show, of course, on fire-tv.com and the diamondkshow.com. So I was talking about it, like, why are these rappers getting locked up? They get locked up for reasons. I mean, it's not like there's not a reason why. We talk about Young Thug and Gunna. Locked up, were charged with racketeering. So he is in jail, Young Thug, accused of co-founding a criminal street gang in Atlanta. Prosecutors say that they committed multiple murders and shootings over the last almost 10 years. So the DA had a whole big presentation that she made. And of course, she says that Young Thug co-founded a violent street gang that committed multiple murders, shootings, and carjackings, promoted its activities in songs and on social media. Social media has really been, they used to talk about the hip-hop police. Remember that phrase, right? The hip-hop police. They talked about the hip-hop police, and that is a real thing. But to me, social media and the rappers' own lives and posts have been the worst enemy of this kind of activity. You talk about the murders, the shootings, the carjackings, and then you promote the activities on the songs and on social media. Very counterproductive. Very counterproductive. Prosecutors allege in this sprawling indictment that charges him, Young Thug, Gunna, another rapper. These are popular rappers. These are successful rappers. 26 others charged in this indictment with racketeering. The indictment, 88 pages. They've been following them and putting this case together for a while. So this indictment filed earlier this week in Fulton County. Now, the indictment, here's what's crazy about it. The indictment quotes lyrics from multiple music videos as evidence. They used the words of Young Thug and Gunna and others in the indictment. So, talk about being your own worst enemy. Man, this is crazy. This is crazy. Multiple music videos used as evidence. Multiple lyrics from songs that folks sing home, in the club, in the car, used against Young Thug and Gunna and 26 others. Accused of being alleged to be gang members, committing these violent crimes to collect money for the gang. to promote its reputation and enhance its power and territory. Oh, they've laid this whole thing out. They've laid this whole thing out. So Fannie Willis, the district attorney in Fulton County, Georgia, says it does not matter what your notoriety is, what your fame is. If you come to Fulton County and you commit crimes, you're going to become a target and a focus of this district attorney, and we are going to prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. And she's also someone who's been going after Trump, right? She's going to have a lot more luck and an easier time nabbing these rappers. That's for sure. Young Thug, born Jeffrey Lamar Williams, of course, co-wrote the hit This Is America with Childish Gambino, making history when it became the first hip-hop song to win Song of the Year, Grammy, 2019. Fulton County prosecutors say that in late 2012, he and two others founded Young Slime Life, YSL, a violent criminal street gang, she says, commonly known as YSL, and is affiliated with the National Blood Gang, allegedly. So they laid a whole thing out. He was arrested at his home in Buckhead, which is upscale neighborhood north of downtown Atlanta, being held at Fulton County Jail on charges of conspiracy to violate Georgia's RICO Act and participation in a criminal street gang. This is one of the most successful rappers out right now. And of course, I can't say that I'm going to sit here and act like we haven't seen other rappers go to jail. We have. We've seen other rappers go to jail. But something about what's happening now feels different to me. Young Thug's lawyer, Brian Steele, told news outlets that Mr. Williams committed no crime whatsoever and he would fight till his last drop of blood to clear him. That's an interesting choice of words. Anyway, what attorney is going to say my client is guilty? Yes, my client murdered the victim. No attorney is going to say that. So he's just doing what he is paid to do, and that is protect his client. That is protect his client. And that's what he's supposed to be doing. He's supposed to be protecting his client. Also charged in the indictment, Gunna, real name Sergio Kitchens. There's also an aspiring rapper, Christian Eppinger, who was already in jail and is accused of shooting an Atlanta police officer 6 times back in February. So Gunna, who is accused of conspiracy to violate the state's RICO Act, was not in custody yesterday, turned himself in today. Early this morning, late last night, however you want to look at it. So in addition to specific charges, the indictment includes a wide-ranging list of 181 acts that prosecutors claim were committed starting back in 2013 as part of this alleged RICO conspiracy to further the gang's interest. Oh yeah, they put this together. And it is not looking good. It is not looking good. So why are some of the most successful rappers right now finding themselves in this situation? So Young Thug and Gunna just all through this whole thing, they talked about drugs that they allegedly had with the intent to distribute and how they were involved in a traffic stop the following year in which one of the vehicles had a number of weapons with high capacity magazines, including an AK-47 in one of the, according to the indictment. It also quotes lyrics, as I said, from multiple songs, multiple Young Thug songs, including one from 2018 in which he says, "I never killed anybody, but I got something to do with that body. I told them to shoot hundreds of rounds," says in another verse of the song. And of course, the DA, Fannie Willis, quoting all these songs, pulling out stuff. I mean, they got video of them saying the songs. And so they're going to try to lay out a case where these rappers are actually reciting their lives. And of course, we have this whole movement of fans that said the lyrics that they're saying has got to be real. If they're not living what they're saying, then, they're not keeping it real. And so there's pressure from fans for these rappers to actually live the life. But you can't fall into that trap. You can't fall into that trap. That is what's happening, though. We have a lot of rappers falling into the trap. They're in a catch-22. These rappers in a catch-22. They damned if they do, they damned if they don't. So they feel. But I think it's better off for them to not do it, right? And then once you get out, we got a lot of rappers that have history of street ties and all kind of stuff. But once you get out, right? Once you get out, why do you have one foot in? Why do you have one foot in? So the DA says that she respects the First Amendment right to free speech, but she believes that the song lyrics cited in the indictment are overt acts that support the RICO charge. Now, I think that the lyrics that I've mentioned, if that's the best that she has, that's kind of flimsy and that's not going to stick. I mean, he could have said he flew to the moon, but does that mean that him and Elon Musk was on the moon? No, right? So what he says in the song, it's going to need to be a little bit more clear than that. And I don't know if that was overt. Yeah, I don't know if that was an overt and predicate act. I'm not sure about that. That's something that's going to have to be taken up in the courtroom, but I'm sure that they have more evidence than that. The indictment also includes members of the gang, members of the gang trying to allegedly, they accuse members of this gang of trying to kill rapper YFN Lucci. Right? Allegedly, they tried to stabbing at him with a shank in Fulton County Jail. YFN Lucci was among a dozen people charged in another gang-related RICO indictment in Fulton County last year. YFN Lucci, another popular rapper, unfortunately in the crosshairs of the Fulton County District Attorney. The indictment also says it was an alleged member of the gang who shot at the bus in 2015 that was carrying Lil Wayne, and I know y'all remember when that happened. So I mean, they have laid out this whole thing. Some of this stuff is kind of flimsy. Some of the stuff that's in this indictment is flimsy, but that's what it is. Why are rappers feeling the pressure of living up to the lyrics? That's what's going on. That is what's going on. Willis, district attorney in Fulton County, says that she plans to seek the maximum possible penalty for the people charged in this indictment. For at least some of them, that could mean life in jail. Oh, this is serious. This is nothing to play with. Serious. So of course we know Young Thug for hit songs like Stoner and Best Friend. Young Thug has refused to play by the traditional gender rules. He wore a dress on the cover of his 2016 mixtape, Jeffrey, remember that? And said there is no such thing as gender as part of a Calvin Klein campaign. Young Thug has been in the forefront and been a trendsetter for quite some time. Gunna, who is signed to Young Thug's Young Stoner Life record label, scored his second #1 with DS Forever this year. Grammy nominated. I mean, Pushin' P, a term regularly used on social media by LeBron James, by Des Bryant. These guys are successful. These aren't up-and-coming rappers. I mean, I wish that they were not in this situation. I really do, right? So the rapper said the term is based on keeping it real. And I think that's the irony right here. That's the irony. We have successful black men, rappers, from the hood, from the streets, use their talents to get them out, but they're still in, allegedly. In April of last year, Young Thug and Gunna posted bail for 30 low-level inmates who were unable to afford the cost themselves. Gunna opened a no-cost grocery store and apparel store at his former middle school to students and their families in the area where he grew up. Guys were giving back to the community, are giving back to the community. Now, everything is good and bad. There's the yin and the yang. Young Thug's record label refers to its artists as part of the Slime family. You know, they have the compilation Slime language. This is unfortunate. It's unfortunate that, you know, whatever these rappers are being accused of doing, that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that they're in this situation. I mean, it's unfortunate that they feel pressure to keep it real, to keep it real in the raps. They feel pressure. Now, we talking about grown men. So, you know, it's you can do what you want to do. So it's not like they had to do it this way. But so many rappers are doing it this way. So many rappers are, you know, living the life that they talk about on their records, right? They're living that life, and then it catches up with them because they're still talking about it. They're still talking about it in songs. Rapper Casanova today pled guilty to racketeering and drug charges. He faces a mandatory minimum of 5 years in prison, maximum sentence of 60 years. So he pled guilty. Casanova 2 times, pled guilty today. This is a whole separate case. He is due to be sentenced in December, at which time he faces that minimum of 5, maximum of 60 years. And according to the DA, he was involved in drug and racketeering. He's admitted to a series of crimes committed while leading an interstate gang. So many rappers find themselves in jail right now. And these are successful rappers, right? We talked about Young Thug. We talked about Gunna, talked about Casanova. Also, Rod Wave reportedly choked his ex-girlfriend until she couldn't breathe while their kids were at home, according to reports. What is going on? I mean, and I can go on and on and on about this. Like these are not just isolated incidents. There are more situations like this. And is it pressure from fans? What is it? What is it? There's some documents showing that the feds are targeting Lil Baby and 4PF after these RICO charges against Young Thug and YSL. Who knows what's going to happen there? I thought that it was interesting. I read something and I posted it on my social media at the Diamond K Show. Check me out. No Cap says that internet cracks jokes as soon as a rapper gets arrested. This is true. And so he says that the internet cracks jokes as soon as these rappers get locked up. And they're laughing at them for living the life that they rap about. Right? And I thought about what he said. And he has this quote unquote like a letter to the internet. No cap. And he says that y'all bashing it about not living what they rapping. But then when a nigga go to Fed about this shit, leave their family, it show y'all how deep that the person is in the streets, and then y'all laugh and make jokes about them going to jail. He says, word to all rappers, stay out the way, stay free. This how they do us when we go in. And I think that he was right on point with that. Right on point. Right? When you talk about all the arrests that are happening, how many of these rappers are trying to live this life because of the pressure from fans, the pressure from, what other people are going to think. And Tavon on Facebook says that the letter is a joke, right? I don't know why you say the letter is a joke. I think that the letter is real. Now, if you're trying to say that he said it as a joke, right? I don't know about that, because if you think about it, when you have a rapper that is not quote unquote living the life that he raps about, people do make fun of him. People do talk trash about him. People do look at that entertainer as just that and look at him as a certain way, right? He don't have the street cred if he's quote unquote not living what he's talking about. This is something that's happened in hip hop. I mean, even in the 80s and the 90s, right? That pressure has been there, but you have some people, you have some rappers who are not from that lifestyle and don't fall into that trap, right? So that's why I said it's a catch-22. That's why I said it's like you damned if you do and you damned if you don't if you fall into this mindset, right? All right, so Tavon says, how can he applaud rappers for what they do, which ultimately affects the kids in our communities? Right, and I get what you're saying, but so here's, I'm looking at it from this perspective. So you looking at it from the point of the things that they're saying in the songs, and that's a whole nother conversation. But let's just look at it from the standpoint of the pressure that, whether it's perceived, in their mind or it's actual pressure. But when a rapper creates street music, a lot of times, if they are not living the life and they're rapping about street activity, they're gonna get looked at a certain kind of way. Now, whether they can deal with that and be able to separate and say, look, I'm just doing music, I'm just entertaining, and that's just what it is, and I don't care what people think about me. I think more rappers need to do that. Now, what Tavon is also talking about is the subject matter, right? So if you talk about the subject matter of what they're doing, that's a different conversation. So yes, I would love for the subject matter to be better. But some people that are from the hood, that are making music for the hood, feel that the music has to be a certain way. So we can't act like street activity doesn't exist. Street activity was around before Tavon, before you were born, before I was born. So the streets has always been there. Well, we talking about the streets in the 70s, well, we talking about the streets in the 60s. There was always gangsters in our communities. Our grandparents knew gangsters. Our parents know gangsters. Some of our parents was or is gangsters, right? They're going to talk about it, right? So we can't say all the music has to be good. It's going to reflect the community. I'm just saying that when you get to a certain point in your career, it is time to shift the gears. There's a lot of so-called legitimate people in politics whose fortunes were found in street activity, bootlegging and drug dealing and all kinds of stuff. And they switch gears at a certain point, right? I'm not, glorifying the things that were done, but I'm just saying that we have a lot of artists who start from the streets. And then after a certain point, the gear is supposed to shift and they are supposed to switch. A lot of our guys are not switching. Now, that might be one because they still have the streets elements around them. Some of their homies from the streets are still around them and they're still doing street stuff and they're still involved in it and they can fund it more. They can buy better weapons and all that, all that kind of stuff. But if they don't separate themselves, they're going to find themselves right where they are. And we have a lot of rappers right now under attack, but they also welcomed the fire that's coming at the same time. So we have these guys that, like it was pointed out, our kids are listening to. And hopefully our kids are seeing what is happening and hopefully they're going to do something different. Hopefully you can, you want to make street music, that's fine, right? But we gotta put that line for entertainment and the streets, because here's the thing. Even though you're a rapper, even though you're making music, the district attorney is still watching you. The district attorney is still checking out what you're doing. As you see, the district attorney and the police, they're looking at social media. They're looking at your music videos. Some of them clicks and them views that you're getting on YouTube, that's the police and the district attorney. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're listening. And it is unfortunate that many folks are going to find themselves in jail, not because somebody else snitched on them, but because they snitched on themselves. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, at The Diamond K Show. Of course, thediamondkshow.com, onfire-tv.com. And I was talking about some of the prices. Have you gone to the supermarket lately? Have you bought some food? Do you see how much stuff is costing right now? Where we are. Inflation is crazy. And so, you're going to hear politicians, because we're in election season, you're going to hear politicians talk about how they've got this great jobs report, how unemployment is at a low, and how great they are doing with regards to unemployment. And that may be true. But what we also have is a soaring price of food, skyrocketing. Today, the Labor Department reported the annual leap of 9.4% in food prices as of last month, representing the largest 12-month increase since 1981. Oh yeah, it's serious. Now, of course, Republicans are going to jump all over this and throw this at Biden's feet. They're going to jump on this inflation data. They're going to sharpen their attacks on the president, who I don't even think can get out the way. I don't even think Joe Biden can get out the way of any of these attacks that are going to be coming at him. They are blaming President Biden for the inflation across the consumer spectrum. Now, understand this. They're not helping him at all. They want this to happen because they want to use this against him. The president I'm talking about. Republicans want to use this against the president. Now, if I was consulted for any Republicans, this is the strategy that I would use against the Democrats. And unfortunately, it's out there, and the American people are the ones who are suffering. Today's numbers are more bad news for workers. They are more bad news for local business. They are more bad news. It's more bad news for Americans. More bad news for Americans. Democrats are trying to point out that inflation is not just a problem for America. It is a problem facing the world because of the pandemic. This is true. But, perception is reality. Perception is reality. And what they're going to be throwing at folks is, if the Democrats weren't in charge, things would be so much better. Food would be so much cheaper. Gas prices would be so much lower. That's what they're going to say. Now, that's not true, but that's what they're going to say, and that's what it kind of seems like, and that's an easy sell for them. It's an easy sell for them. We have to work hard and find ways to increase food production here in America. Now, that's easy. That's easier said than done. That is definitely easier said than done. Tavon says this. Tavon on Facebook says, the problem really is how Joe Biden is consistently giving money to Ukraine, and we're headed for a recession. Let me say this, Tavon. You've hit the nail on the head. I think that's a big problem. When we talk about inflation, we talk about gas prices, we talk about so many Americans that don't have much. We talk about the erasing of the middle class, right? And then the next story is about how they've given all this money to Ukraine, right? They can't, the Congress can't agree on nothing. But they can agree they're going to give money to Ukraine. And you may say, why? Why is this happening? I'm going to tell you why. They've just traded one war in Afghanistan for another war. Who benefits from this money going to Ukraine? The military-industrial complex. The folks that are making the guns and the planes and the bombs and all that stuff that they've been sending to other countries for the last 20 years. Now they have another place that they can send it. They can send their stuff. These are the same people that was making weapons to arm the Afghans, right? Now they're just having their pipelines send weapons to Ukraine. And once again, who feels it? They're fighting Russia, but Americans are feeling it. Americans are feeling it. Now, understand this. Whether there was a Republican in office or we got Joe Biden in office, the Republicans will be doing the same exact thing, giving money to Ukraine because the military-industrial complex needs that money. Well, wants that money. They don't need it. Why does he feel so indebted to Ukraine? Tavon's asking. Tavon on his stuff today. Tavon says, why does, he's talking about President Biden, feel so indebted to Ukraine? It is because what they claimed his son was doing is actually true. No. Tavon, oh my goodness. Do not get into these Republican talking points. Understand this. A Republican would be doing the same thing because they do what their donors want. And their donors, their donors is all about money, and not money for the American people, money for the folks that manufacture guns, military weapons, planes, drones, missiles, all that kind of stuff, right? That's what this is about. That's what this is about. This ain't about no Hunter Biden. This ain't about no Bo Biden. This ain't about no Jill Biden. This ain't about no Joe Biden, right? They just figureheads sitting in the White House. They're insignificant. You can see Joe doesn't really have any power. The Congress not even scared of Joe Biden, right? Nobody's scared of the dog's not scared of Joe Biden. Nobody. The last person that somebody listened to in Joe Biden's house is Joe Biden. Okay. Joe Biden is insignificant in this. I don't think he's gonna run again. He shouldn't run again. If he runs again, Democrats are in more trouble than they already appear to be in. Already in trouble. So the spike in food prices is just one component of the broader inflation that America is facing right now. Just one part. We have so many things. The April numbers are a slight improvement over the March numbers, right? But it still looks bad. Globally, the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization reported last week that food prices have jumped nearly 30% from last year. We are paying almost 30% more for our food. All right, Tavon says he's just kidding about that. He definitely, and I know I can definitely tell Tavon that you know your stuff. And he's talking about Lockheed Martin and all those manufacturers of weapons. So we have that. We have a weak president right now. And the reason why we have this weak president is because folks wanted the opposite of Trump. So we have someone who is equally as old and slow, but we have Biden. And Biden wasn't a good choice. Trump wasn't a good choice. Neither one of these guys were good choices. I don't know what comes next after them, but neither one of them were good choices. It's just that the American people felt that Biden was a better choice after 4 years of Trump. But now we got 4 years of Biden, which is a disaster in itself. Disaster in itself. So we have all of these things. The Appropriations Committee hearing today on the global food security and the COVID-19 pandemic. They had this, and of course, the community, international, the world is facing one of the worst food crises in the decades. It's decades, right? Certainly in a lifetime. Definitely, no time in my lifetime has it been like this. So you have domestic implications, international implications. It is a disaster. So the collapse of exports of vegetable oil from Ukraine, grain from Ukraine. And understand this. The last thing that Ukraine wants is for folks to forget about them or not champion what's going on with them. So they're going to keep saying, oh, we need this, we need that. Because if the allies in the West, if they start getting hands off with Ukraine, Russia's going to put the mash on them. And Russia puts the mash on them, of course, Ukraine's going to lose. So Ukraine has to keep trying to turn up the pressure. Hey, talk about us, talk about us. Oh, this is happening, that's happening. The school bomb, this happened, that's happened. And these things may have happened, right? But there are wars all over the world right now. But if you look at your MSNBC or your mainstream outlet, you think the only war that's happening in the world is happening in Ukraine. That's what you would think. Not true. Not true. But there are a lot of things happening that are affecting consumer prices. And this inflation is a nightmare for Americans. It's a nightmare for folks all over the world, but I'm talking about in America. Retail food prices have risen for a variety of factors. Higher fuel, the gas is all connected. Higher gas prices have caused this, and so we have higher gas prices, which has caused the cost, the cost to get food to locations, that's higher, right? The greater demand for food eaten at home, other supply chain pressures, all of this affects the price. Grocers are working with their suppliers to try to mitigate the price increases to the best of their ability, but at the end of the day, the American people are feeling this the most, and they have the least control over everything directly. What's going to happen? I don't know. But if the past is a roadmap to the future, the Democrats are going to lose big in the midterm elections. Republicans are going to try to sell that they can fix things. Now, with the abortion leak that has come out of this draft memo, this draft opinion, the Democrats are going to try to use abortion as a boogeyman to scare folks into saying, stick with the Democrats. Yes, prices are high, but stick with us because women are not going to have control over their bodies, and gay people may not be able to get married, and interracial dating, it may not be able to get married. That's what Democrats are going to try to say. All right. Republicans are going to try to say, oh my God, the price is so high because of Democrats. And so you're going to have to make this choice, people. You're going to have to vote in November and make the decision. Do you want the Republicans to take away all of your rights that you thought were constitutionally secure, your abortion rights and your right to choose? And and gay marriage is coming next. And interracial marriage could also be on there, and any other thing, right? So you got that choice. Or are you going to go with the Democrats with a very weak president who, I don't know, is going to say, pick me. I don't know. I'm a nice guy and I understand sorrow and I used to stutter and now I don't. I mean, what else does Joe Biden really have to offer? I've been in politics for 50 years and I know everybody. I mean, wow. That's all he got. So I don't know. I don't know what's the best choice. I know that if you look at the Democrats' policies versus the Republicans' policies, they both suck. Okay, Republicans don't have a strategy or a policy, and Democrats can't agree on anything. So it's like we had a stalemate. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. It's just like the rappers. It's like it's a catch-22. We got a catch-22 with the Democrats and the Republicans. We got a catch-22 with our rappers. Man, what food prices affected. The future of trap music is affected. Oh, it's a disaster in the city. Tavon, what you got to say? Tavon says that I'm disappointed that we have 350 million people in this country. Brilliant people. And those were our only two choices. Tavon, you're absolutely right. There's a whole lot of choices that were better than Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And I hope that I hope that we get some better choices. It's still time for 2024. We don't have to. Here's the thing. We don't need the same old. Man, hang on here. Are you tired of the same old? Are we tired of seeing these same old people over and over again? They think they get the right to passage. I did this job. Now I can run. I got to do this. I can do that. No. We need some new people. We have new problems. We're not facing the same old problems. We had the biggest, craziest pandemic that they've seen in 100 years. We need new folks attacking these problems and not these geriatric folks way past the prime, way past the prime. These people probably couldn't even pass a driving test, right? Most of the people in Congress are too old to drive. But we got them in control of our lives? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You wouldn't trust some of these senators to drive you downtown. But we're going to have them controlling our lives. This doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. Tavon has something else. We need a new party. That's the only way to get new ideas and fresh blood. I agree with that. We do need a new party, and we also need young people to get involved in the process. We get young people involved in this process, right? We start some new parties. We get some new ideas instead of the same old Democrats and the same old Republicans over and over again. Yes, we get it. We get some new parties, and there are new parties out. I mean, there are other parties out there. There are. And folks have to get involved. Folks have to get involved and hold these politicians accountable when they don't do nothing. When they don't do nothing. And that's mostly what they do. Nothing. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok at The Diamond K Show. Of course, thediamondkshow.com, onfire-tv.com. On YouTube, I am DJ Diamond K, youtube.com/DJ Diamond K. Search The Diamond K Show. I have new music out on all streaming platforms, Apple, Spotify, blah, 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 blah. Right? Just search Diamond K. And I have a new project coming out. I have not announced the title yet, but you know what? What am I waiting for? Club Music Unleashed Volume 3 is coming in July. So I'm working on that now. A lot of things going on. And a lot of things happening behind the scenes here at On Fire TV. We have a lot of shows. We have some movies that we are working on, some reality things, some documentaries. A lot of good stuff coming up, and I'm really excited about the future here on Fire TV, The Diamond K Show. I will see you guys tomorrow.